Sorry, I was sending the text there. Welcome to Wednesday night at Clarksville Highway. We are going to study a little bit more about the resurrection. We have Jeff Butler as our guest, so big round of applause to Jeff. We are live stream. Well, I thought we were live streaming on. Are we live streaming on there, Jeff? Mm-hmm. So I think we're live streaming. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can put something in the comment section. I do not know why I can't find. I was trying to monitor the Gospel Chariot station, but I cannot. Oddly enough, I can't find the post. So I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, just send us a message if you have one, or there we go. So I'm there now. Or you can send me a text message, which is absolutely the best way to do it. So I'm sorry, I've got to turn. I was trying to monitor the live stream, and it's playing in my hearing aids, so I have to get rid of that.
We're well rehearsed and
How much of a
knew what we were
delay is
doing when we got here. No.
Yeah, I disconnected them once.
You got the sun over here.
All right. So anyway, send us a comment if you would like. We are not very well organized tonight, so
That's because I'm here.
that's because Jeff is here. He's all thrown us off of our game. So anyway, we're going to do a Bible study for a little bit, and then we're going to interview Jeff and find out everything there is to know about his life. Mm-hmm. And we're tough interviewers. We find all the things that you don't want to tell people. That's what we try to pull out of you.
All right. I'm game.
All right.
That's not really true. So tonight, last week and this week and then into next week, we are going to talk about how the resurrection changes our view of things. And then the week, by the way, commercial time, the week after that, which is May 11th, there is a youth worship night at Clarksville Highway. So we're actually going to live stream that. So instead of having a Bible class that night, we're going to live stream a youth worship.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what do y'all do at the youth worship? You have a Bible study or singing or what?
Just singing, really. We got 30, 45 minutes of songs and some scripture readings, and then we'll have some dessert and drinks afterwards. So.
Okay,
we also need people to bring for that. So if anyone wants to bring a dessert.
We cannot actually share dessert with you on the live stream. So if you want dessert, you can come here, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to have dessert, you can come here. If you're going to live stream that night, you have to provide your own dessert at home, whatever you would like that to be. But if you do provide your own dessert at home, then send us pictures of it so we know what you're having. So.
Yeah.
All right. So how does resurrection change our view of humanity? And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight. And there was a passage from 1 Corinthians I wanted to share with you. If you got a Bible, it's 1 Corinthians 15, verses 42 through 49, I believe. Mm-hmm. These guys have handouts that has it on there, so just because they don't have a Bible doesn't mean that they're not tuned in, right?
That's right.
He's talking about the different kinds of flesh, the different kind of bodies that exist. You know, there's one for animals and one for humans, and different kind of glories and different glories of the heavenly bodies. And then he says in verse 42, "So it is with the resurrection of the dead. What is sown is perishable, what is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body." And this is what I think is really interesting. That's one of my, I know I talk about my favorite passages a lot, but I really do like this one. I like all of them, but anyway. If there is a natural body, there is also a spiritual body. Thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit, who is Jesus. But it is not the spiritual that is first, but the natural, and then the spiritual. The first man was from the earth, a man of dust. The second man is from heaven. As was the man of dust, so also are those who are of the dust. And as is the man of heaven, so also are those who are of heaven. And just as we have borne the image of the man of dust, we shall also bear the image of the man of heaven. And that's really cool when you think about that, because right now I exist in dust. That's what I mean. We don't think about that a lot, but you know, God created us from dust, and we're dust, and to dust we'll return. But just as sure as I have a physical body, I'm also going to have a spiritual body. Now, I don't know all the details of that yet. I mean, there are some things, I have questions about that. And we've talked about those before. You
Right.
send them to me sometimes. We'll talk more about questions. But, you know, and it's hard, I think it's hard for us to comprehend that, because everything that we experience in this life has an end. I mean, we don't have very many things that last forever.
No.
You know, whether it's a possession or it's money. I mean, even relationships, as important as they are, they're temporary simply because people die. And so to look at something and say, okay, we have something here that's eternal, but as sure as I'm physical, I'm also going to have a spiritual body. And that's exciting to me. And the resurrection of Jesus proves that.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of what we're talking about, the resurrection. But I think that should fundamentally change the way that I view people. Because every person that I come into contact with will have a spiritual existence. I mean, everybody that we encounter in the world has an eternal destiny. And sometimes we just see people, and I'm the same way. I mean, I'm you know, all of this is like preaching to the choir, right? Because I have to really work with this myself a lot, because you start to deal with people, and sometimes you get frustrated or you get angry, or you look at people and say, well, why don't they help themselves, or why don't they make better decisions, or you know, all the different things that you can say, but we lose sight of that person has an eternal destiny, and it could be that something we can say or something that we do or the interaction that we have with them makes an eternal difference. And I think sometimes, personally, I just kind of get short-sighted in that.
I mean, when you think about it that way, it's like every little conversation, every little thing you do is so important,
Yes.
because that could impact something for eternity.
Yeah, I think it is. You know, and I get frustrated with myself sometimes, because after a conversation or something, I think, well, man, I should have handled that differently, or I should have said something differently, or, you know, conducted myself differently, or something. And, you know, I got this passage on here in Hebrews. It talks about Jesus came into the world the first time to deal with sin. And now that he's dealt with sin, he's going to come back a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who have faith in him. And it's in the context of that the writer of Hebrews writes that it's appointed for man once to die, and then the judgment. After that, the judgment. So every individual that we come into contact with eventually will face Jesus, just like we will at judgment. And you know, when it looks so different. I think I've got this thing written down here. I heard this one time. He didn't phrase it quite this way, but I was listening to a seminar online, and he said, to a second grader, a sixth grader looks like he knows everything. You know, and I got to thinking about that. That was so true. Or when you're in sixth grade, you think, man, the high school kids know everything, right? And then you get in high school, and it's like, well, the college kids know everything. And then when you're in college, you know everything, and nobody else knows anything at all. So, you know, then you're in that vein for a while. But it seems like it's all relative. Like when you're 10 years old, 20 seems old.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we were 20 years old, I'm just going to talk to Jeff and I, because Jeff and Jeff,
He's
by
a
the way.
youngster, isn't he?
Yeah, this Jeff he hadn't figured this out. So at 20 years old, I mean, when we were 20, I mean, 40 seemed old.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But
And I remember my girls when they were teenagers, they were kind of like, they would be talking about somebody that was in their 20s and about there was such a gap. And I was like, well, the older you get, that gap is not going to seem like it's much of a deal.
Yeah. Because like when you're in high school, like a 2 or 3 year gap seems like it's a huge
Oh,
deal.
yeah.
But then later in life, you're like, oh, that's just 2 or 3 years.
A lot of my friends are 6 to 10 years older than me.
Right.
You know.
And now that's nothing.
And some of them are in their 30s. You know. So.
And sometimes I look at stuff like that and it makes me feel, it makes me feel a little old because I'll be talking to somebody and like we're friends now and I'm thinking, yeah, but when I was graduating high school, you were in the 6th grade.
Yeah.
And again, that seems like a huge difference, but not so much now. So when you get 40, like 80 seems old. Like now that I'm 58, I'm thinking like 106 sounds old.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, or something like that, something way out there somewhere. Oh, I see if we had any comments on here.
58's not old.
Yeah. Are you older than me?
I'm 58.
Well, I'm 58, so
Well,
you're still,
but you're a
still
few
older.
months older than me. No, I'll be 50. I just turned 58 in March. You'll turn what?
Okay,
59 in
so
October.
yes, I'm older than you.
yeah.
Some
Just
of
a
the
little bit.
wise mature one. Oh yeah, that's funny. But in comparison to eternal existence, which we have in Jesus, I mean, 58 or 80 or even 100 is really nothing. I mean, it's just a really short period of time.
That's hard to comprehend too.
Yeah, it is, and so it's like when Jesus is talking to Martha after Lazarus' death, and he asked her, will your brother rise again? And she said, I know he will in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life, and whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live, and everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe that? And so I think from that it changes our perspective, so we start looking at people in terms of eternity and not just in time periods.
And then the things that people do to you seem kind of insignificant.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
that was just, a 10-second moment of, them getting upset at me for something.
You start realizing that a lot of times people don't even, the things that you get upset about,
Yeah.
they don't even realize that they did it. I mean, a lot of the time.
It bothers you.
Sometimes they might, but still.
And then they don't even know.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's bothering you more than it's bothering them, and that's
Yeah, and then you look at how, man, I don't know the right word to use here, but we're so concerned about time. Like if even driving,
Guilty.
if we get in front of another car, we'd be 5 seconds earlier or 10 seconds earlier. And then when you slow down and you start looking at things, then maybe we shouldn't, but we shouldn't be driven by time as much as we are. And I know you look at life to say, well, I've just got so much time, but no, not really. I mean, you've got an eternity. You just need to pick the things that are important. And I'm not very good at that. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm not very good at that. So it's not like I'm telling you
I'm
what
not
to do
either.
like I do it, because I don't. It's very hard for me to keep all of those things in perspective.
So next time there's bad traffic on the interstate, we can just kind of, it's
So
not
just
that big a
relax.
deal. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, I guess we just relax because there's not anything we can do about it. Anytime I talk about this, somebody always says, there was Francis Chan, and he had this video where he is trying to explain this. So anyway,
Explain the eternity.
we're going to let somebody else explain it for a second better than we can explain it. So we're going to watch a Francis Chan video. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. And I hope it's okay that we play this. I didn't contact him to ask him, but it's on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
and we're not trying to make any money off of it, and we're giving him credit.
Oh,
So it should be good. So watch this video, and then we'll be back.
What am I to look forward to at the end? I'm going to bring an illustration this is like the first illustration I did. It was 20 years ago, but I can't think of a better way to explain it. I actually didn't use a rope back then. I used remember computer paper when it was all stuck together and it had the holes on the side that you had to peel off? Remember that? I remember getting a roll, and some of you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, which is crazy to me. But because that was the best, and it never worked right because of the rolling things. But But I remember being a youth pastor, and I put that computer paper all the way around the room, and but I'm going to use a rope now because I can't find that computer paper. Imagine this rope. Okay, pretend this rope just goes on forever. Okay? Just imagination. Pretend it goes around the world a few times. It doesn't. It ends at the rock. But let's just imagine this thing goes on forever. Now imagine that this rope is a timeline of your existence. You just exist forever. You see this red part? This would represent your time on earth. You've got a few short years here on earth, and then you've got all of eternity somewhere else. This is your existence. And what blows me away is some of you, all you think about is this red part. It's all you think about. You're consumed with this. You go, oh man, I can't wait till here. You know, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to save so I can really enjoy this part right here. And you're consumed with that, and you're thinking, oh man, am I going to get to travel? Am I going to eat well? Am I going to do this during this part? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What about this? What about this? What about all this stuff? It's crazy to me because the Bible teaches that what I do during this little red part determines how I'm going to exist for millions and millions and millions of years forever. And so why would I spend this little red part trying to make myself as comfortable as possible, enjoying myself as much as I can? Paul says, look, I'm going to live my life for this mission. I'm going to spend my life, invest my life for this moment when I cross that finish line. See, I'm going to forget about all this stuff I could enjoy, and I'm not going to look around. I'm going to be like a runner, just looking at that moment when I face God, because when I face Him, then I don't get this chance over again. We get one chance at this life on earth, and it can end at any second for any of us. We've got one chance at this, and then comes eternity. And I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to spend my life down here. See, people look at some of my decisions and go, oh, you're so stupid because that's going to really affect this. I go, no, you're stupid because it's going to affect all of this. Man, I'm serious. I look at the way people live and I go, wow, that is so crazy. You are so crazy. You're going to do that right now, just to enjoy right now, not even knowing if you have tomorrow, and you think that's smart and that I'm dumb? It doesn't make any sense. Paul goes, I'm not going to look around at all this stuff. And it's tempting. It's tempting to all of us. That's what I'm saying. Down here, it's crazy because everyone lives that way. Everyone lives for the red part. No one's thinking about the millions of years afterwards. It's just this crazy deception that we can't get out of our minds. And Paul goes, I'm not doing that.
It's really cool. The way that he does that. And it's a great illustration. I wish I'd have come up with that, but I'm glad he did because it communicates it so well. And I think so when we see people, the question is, I mean, when we interact with them, do we take in consideration they are going to be, I mean, they're going to be there forever and ever and ever, those millions and millions and millions of years. And so when we look at the world and we're looking at things like in terms of resurrection and in terms of what's really happening, I mean, then we can kind of understand. I mean, the only thing Satan wants is to make sure that you don't spend those millions and millions of years. I mean, I know we're going without time, but we got to talk about it some way. So he just wants to make sure that we spend those millions and millions of years apart from God. And so he's working in our life in a way that he's trying to distract us,
He certainly understands
I mean, he
the
wants
importance
us,
of that eternity.
Yeah.
And
so,
a lot of times we try to focus on the small, and he obviously understands.
Yeah, and he definitely wants us focused just on the red part of that road. And so then when you start seeing the way that he tempts people and that he tests people, and so when we encounter people, I think we ought to be more conscious of the fact that they're going through that spiritual struggle, whether they realize it or not. You know, they're encountering that struggle of trying to view things in an eternal way, and Satan is doing everything that he can to make sure that they don't view things, or we don't view things that way. Even when he tempts Jesus in the wilderness, you know, make these stones become bread. You know, it is the blessings of God only for just our physical comfort, for us to have the things that we want, you know, or don't test the Lord your God, which, you know, kind of the thing there, and I don't want to go into a long Bible study of that, but, you know, he was trying, instead of just relying on the provision of God, he was trying to get Jesus to put himself in a situation where, kind of text message,
Focused on
where
himself.
he's trying to coerce God into doing something for him. You know, which is kind of in Meribah in the wilderness. That's what happened with the Israelites. You know, you're trying to coerce God into doing something. Or, you know, even when, I don't know, I've got all kind of notes here. You know, worshiping the wrong thing, you know, where Satan asked Jesus to worship him. And sometimes I wonder, is that the devil just wanting Jesus worship, or is it look like the devil is giving him an avenue other than the cross? You know, 'cause I'll give all of these things to you, like it was in his power to give them. That really wasn't.
Right.
But it's like he was, you know, how many times do we go into life, you know, it's like we're getting we're looking for a shortcut. Instead of going through the holy way of doing things, or the right way of doing things, we're trying to manipulate things in some kind of way that we can have some kind of shortcut like that. And, you know, or like Ananias and Sapphira, when they lied about how much money they gave to the church. And the problem wasn't that they didn't give all of their money. It was their money. They didn't have to give any of it if they didn't want to, but they wanted the praise of people, you know, because Barnabas had sold a field and he brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. So then they sold a field and brought part of the money and said, oh no, we gave you all of the money. So it's like they were demanding, they were looking for that praise from people. And how often, you know, how often is that us? You know, do we do the same type of thing? So when you encounter people and you see all the things that they're dealing with in life, but I think it's important for us to remember, whether they realize it or not, they're in that spiritual battle. They're in that spiritual struggle. And, you know from Revelation what's going to happen with the devil and his angels and those who follow him, right? I mean, you know who wins the battle. But while we're living in that little red part of that rope, I mean, sometimes it's a real struggle. Mm-hmm. And it's not, this class isn't just about the fact that we're struggling, it's about how that should impact the way that we interact with other people and how we treat other
Minister to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because next week we're going to talk about what's the answer for the world, and I think the answer for the world is the gospel, and we're going to talk about that next week. But you know, kind of to lead into that, when Jesus encounters Peter in John 21, kind of the message is, feed my sheep. You know, can we live in such a way while we're in the earth? And Jesus talks about this. We live in such a way that while we're on the earth, that on the day that that he visits, that the Father is glorified, because we lived in a way that glorified Jesus, that we understood the eternal concept of things. You know, so when we encounter people and they're less than perfect, we kind of have an insight into why. You know,
just like
maybe,
us.
Yeah, just like us, and maybe more of an insight than they even have themselves, because they're not aware of the struggle that's going on. So when we see, I mean, I listed a whole bunch of things down here that happens in life, right? These are all listed from the text: sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, strife, jealousy, anger, rivalry, dissensions, divisions, envy, drunkenness, pride, abuse, discrimination, selfishness, addiction. I mean, all of those things that are listed, I mean, we understand the struggle that's happening with those. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, since we understand the bigger picture, then our responsibility is to help them find holiness, to interact with them in such a way that shows the glory of God, and interact with them in such a way that helps them realize the eternal principles that are at play in everything that we do. Y'all can talk about that if you want. You know, thinks about those verses, you know.
Yeah.
Don't repay evil with evil, repay evil with good. Love your enemies, bless those who hate you. Do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. I mean, that's totally different than the world. I mean, because the world says we go out and we get revengeance and we get justice.
Right.
You know, never, you know, I think it's, I wrote it down here, is it Romans? Never avenge yourself, but leave that up to the
Vengeance
Spirit,
is
to the
mine.
wrath of God. And so this is definitely not our world. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing so, you will heap burning coals on his head. And the thing is not about do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And the thing is not like, well, I'm going to do that so he'll feel really bad and heap the burning coals. It's you treat them in a way that's counterculture, because we understand the bigger picture of how we should react and how we should interact with people based on the resurrection. It's just not about this world.
It makes sense that all those struggles make sense when you think about just the red part of life and why people.
Yeah. Because if it is just that red part, and it's just, I've got to get what I can get out of life while I'm just in that part, is all that there is. But that's the thing, the little red part is not. I mean, it's just, it's such a small, oh, my live video feed was interrupted. It is that red part, they just can't see beyond what's going on there. And I think that's a real struggle. You think about people who might not be in a right relationship with Jesus, and you don't want Jesus to come until they get like where they're ready for him to be. Hopefully it will have an impact on the way that we interact with people. And me telling you, first of all, I must do a much better job of that. But when you think about
Facebook page right now, but maybe not anywhere else.
Yeah, so. Facebook is buffering a lot. I mean, it's still playing, but it's buffering a lot. So we're 40. Mission of the church. And for a while we asked, your favorite restaurant. If somebody was going to tell you, hey man, I'm going to pay for your meal, you can go eat. I went to Ruth Chris, not like but. All right, so man, it looks like it's buffering all the time. So hopefully it's not buffering out there in the other land. All right, so
we got too many devices connected up here. Maybe
you don't do this. You know what? You don't live your life like you've got unlimited time. You know, just a lot of things. It's real practical. It's kind of pushes me to correct my attitude at times. So
I got to ask you a question. So when you were younger and we read different translations, did you always wonder? The cache is running high. If that matters, it does matter. It means our internet speed is slow. All right, so the buffering problem is our internet speed, so we have to check on.
Came up to visit. We had gone to Jolton since I was 14 years old. We came up here. That was 2006. And we visited. I wanted, Tammy and I had kind of wanted the girls to get a little more involved in the youth group. They weren't as involved at Jolton as what we had hoped. So we thought, well, we'll just visit up here and see how it goes. And so we came in, and like I said, it was on a Sunday night, and everything. We ended up at Jones' house at the time, and the Gallavins were here at that time, and there was, I don't know how many, there was driving up here with Alyssa coming to church at Clarksville Highway, and we were going to Joel's, and I was like, this is not, going to work. So we started coming more, and we just fell in love with everybody, and it's just like, it's home, and we love it here. It's family, Not that I didn't have family there. I mean, I've still got there, but it just it met our needs, and it still continues to meet our needs. So
very cool.
Yeah, I knew Jeff before when I worked at Inform in sales. Jeff worked at a film company that also did work for Inform,
which they don't have anymore.
Yeah,
film.
He does. Yeah, film. So but back then it was really important.
Oh yeah.
He drove an old, like it was a '65 or '66 Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
And so he would pull up delivering film in his old Mustang. I thought that was really cool because I had one that was rotting down somewhere. But yeah, he should have kept it. But,
yeah. What about like some spiritual giants in your life? I guess people that have a big spiritual impact on your Christian walk?
My parents are one. You know, I had Christian parents who, the first place that I went, other than the hospital, was to church. You know, my mom and dad, they took me to church. We went to Sunday school. Grew up in the church. They always led by example. And, you know, my mom read me Bible stories and stuff since the time I was old enough to listen, I guess, you know.
Right.
And then as far as mentors, it meant a lot. Growing up at Jolton, we had a great youth group. And we didn't have a youth minister at that time. We had a youth committee. And there was a few couples that just were in charge of the youth group there. And they would take us on trips, and we would go to seminars at different churches. Back then, they didn't have CIY and all that stuff, but we had these Youth in Action seminars. And we'd go to Louisville, Kentucky, to Okolona Church of Christ. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but they had one every year. We'd go to Little Rock, Arkansas, and some other places. But that group that I grew up with, everybody stayed active in church. It seems like everybody that graduated with me, and, you know, I could pick up a phone right now and call any one of those guys, you know, and they would be here tonight for me. You know, it's just really good to know that you've got people that look up to. There's some others that were members at Jolton that I grew up. Joe McKinney's one.
Okay.
Joe's you know, I used to meet with Joe on Tuesday mornings. We'd have a Bible study before work, and I'd meet him up at Jolton at 5:30. And so we'd have a 30-minute Devo, and we would pray together. And we had a couple other guys that would come up there, and it was a good time. I enjoyed doing that, and it brought me close to him and close to some other guys, you know.
Yeah, we need to ask her, hey, Reggie, are we buffering as badly as this thing is showing?
We're at 99 full, 98, 97.
Okay, so I think it's getting interrupted a lot. I'm not really sure how much of this is getting out.
Oh, no.
This one is just freezing up like
Right.
all the time. Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe it'll get better. So, so that's a pretty good list of spiritual guys that kind of helped you through. So what do you enjoy about being an elder? He's going to say nothing.
I think the thing I enjoy the most is just the relationships that I've been able to make with some of the people. And, you know, when some people come to me and ask me to pray for certain things, and things are on the heart, and like I said, I've gotten really close with the group. You know, we camp together and do stuff like that, and that's, even when we had our small groups too. It's funny how the small group we have is kind of like our camping group too, but but it really, I really enjoyed the time, and I enjoy being able to be there if they've got anything that they got on their heart they want to share with me, or if they want me to pray. And people have confided in me things that they, you know, that they have on their hearts, and I like that. I mean, I feel honored to be able to do that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, that's an important part. I mean, I really enjoy that. I mean, it's one of the things I like about being a minister is being able to share, you know, with people and trying to help them through some difficult parts of life and good parts of life. Sometimes, I mean, people just call you and tell you all the good things that are going on, and that's good too.
Well, sometimes you just need to know that somebody's praying for you. I mean, that just makes everything better. And I'm disappointed. It's like that little bread part. And it's like right now, anxious about stuff, especially like my mom's, my mom's been going through a lot of stuff here lately. And I feel like that consumes a lot of my thought and a lot of my time. And I know she doesn't want me to spend that time doing that, but I still can't help but think about those things. And then other times, I just think, well, if I was only retired, I'd have more time to do this or more time to do that. But, I don't know. It's just, that's part of the thing. I wish I could do more than what I do. And I am thinking, well, maybe eventually it'll change, but then, you end up, like my dad used to say, well, you're going to wish your life away, Wish you always, like you said, like when he was talking on that rope, when you're thinking about when I get to this part, that's when it'll be
Yeah.
easier or whatever. Well, sometimes we never get to that part,
Yeah, and if you look at that little section of rope, it's like, man, that's not very much that
No,
I'm
it's
trying to
not.
get to at the end right there.
No.
Yeah. And I love that illustration that he does because it should give us a different perspective on how we do things and what things are important to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, like even in ministry, you can get sometimes so busy doing things that aren't, it's not that they're not important, but they're less important, that you don't find time to do the things that are really important.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I think that's true. It's not just with ministry. I think it's true with everybody and whatever they do. It's all getting out just probably several minutes behind. So that's good. We'll have to try to figure out our streaming issue. All right, so what other questions do we ask? We ask all the hard ones.
Did we?
My favorite color?
Oh, yeah, what is,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite color?
Red.
Red? Is that why you bought a red car?
And a red truck.
And a red truck, that's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Need you a red camper to go with it.
They don't make them.
They don't have
Well,
a red one?
You know, we could do a servant
I got a red
Sunday.
stripe on mine.
We could do a servant Sunday project. We could paint yours red.
If it keeps fading out, we might do that.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I like that.
Sounds like a
sounds
good
fun.
plan.
Trying to think what else we asked.
I was trying to see if I got any messages there.
How long have you been serving as an elder?
You know, I don't remember exactly when it was.
I can't either. It was
it's-
right after the flood.
Well, that was 2010.
Okay, so it was like, when we became elders, was like 2011.
Yeah, I was thinking it was about 10 or 11 years.
Yeah, because it was right after, it was during the flood that we were kind of going through that process, because I remember we were, when that process was going on, we were helping with that flood relief center in Ashland City.
Yeah.
So it was sometime right after the flood. It was past the flood when we became elders, but maybe a year, not much more than that.
Yeah.
If I remember right. That's my faint memory. That's what I have in there. But if you know me, you know my memory can be very wrong. But I think that's pretty close.
Yeah. What was the other one? Spiritual practices. You have any good spiritual practices that
Anything you'd pass on
that
to
you
somebody
share with
else?
people? Something that's helped you or something?
Well, I'm one of these type, when I have to read in a quiet place. And so what I do is I usually get up every morning and I read before I go to work. And that's what I don't use a Bible anymore. I just use my tablet because I can sit in the dark. I sit in the living room and I'll just read in there. And I like, because I can sit there and, not disturb Tammy or anybody else, but it just gives me some quiet time to read. And then what I usually do is when I get in the car, I'll pray. It's good to pray when you're driving in Nashville anyway.
Eyes open or eyes closed?
Open. I'm hoping that's okay.
Somebody,
You have
Hot
l-
Babe said the rope theory is pretty mind-blowing, and it is. It's a really
Yeah.
cool thing. When you were saying that, it reminded me of something. When we were talking about practices. Oh, reading. You know what I like about the tablet? Let me tell you what I dislike about the tablet, and then what I like. I think I got to sneeze.
It'll read
What-
to you too.
Yeah, what I dislike about the tablet is, like with the Bible, you can know where something is on a page. So you can say, oh yeah, it was on the left-hand side about halfway down, and that makes you find Bible verses quicker,
Yeah.
and you can't do that with a tablet. However, with a tablet, you can make the text bigger, where you
Yeah.
can't do that with the Bible. I'm getting to be a real fan of making the text bigger
Zoom
as I
in.
get older.
That's
It
why
just
I'm
gets
wearing these
bigger.
most of the time now. 'Cause I can't see anything up close anymore.
All right, so
So reading in the morning, praying in the car.
with eyes
Yeah.
open, make
Oh,
sure you
yeah.
got the eyes open part.
Does it give you less opportunity to have some road rage with the Nashville drivers and stuff too?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I let people pass me and I'm just like,
You know, I really do like,
they
though,
ride my
like,
back in and it's fine too.
praying or studying or thinking about something. I really do like the quietness of the car. like used to, I would always have the radio on, talk radio or something, or listen to some kind of music. That's why I have to have hearing aids now, because I listen to my music too loud. No, you never did that, but I did.
Still do.
And, and I'd like the, sometimes I like the quietness of the car, just to be able to,
Yeah.
to be able to think about some stuff or work on some stuff.
Sometimes, I mean, if I'm just driving and it's quiet in the car, then I'm sitting there and it seems like I'll have thoughts about certain things, and I feel like God just speaks to me through different means. And it's like, hey, or some mornings, you're just sitting there looking at a sunrise, driving down the road, and it's like, you just feel inspired. You feel like, look at the beauty around us, and
Right.
it's just pretty awesome. That's what I like about camping. That's one of the times when we go camping, I don't have anything to do except relax and spend time, usually with Christian brothers and sisters, and just enjoying sitting around talking.
Yeah.
And you get to know people, and you get to. If I'm at home, I'm always thinking, I need to do that. I need to do this. I need to work on this. There's always something to do. But if I'm camping, unless you're camping and something breaks on the camper, then you got to fix that while you're camping. But it's usually pretty easy.
So if you don't know, at Clarksville Highway, Jeff kind of heads it's like everybody plans it. It's not like, like you're
No,
like
it's not.
the ramrod on a cattle drive or something, but he really organizes and kind of keeps the camping group headed the right direction.
Yeah.
So, and it's a really big group. I mean, when they're gone, we obviously know that the campers are not here, because it's a really big, pretty good sized group now.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good.
There's still room for more, though.
Yeah, well, this year it's like we picked up three
Three new families.
new families that bought campers. It's like it's really. 'Cause the Selby's got one last year, and then now the Jameses bought one, and the Tejedas bought one, and was there another? I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, you'll be in trouble if you.
If I did leave anybody out, I apologize, just because I'm on the spot and I'm nervous.
All right. Hey, well, thanks for being here.
Well,
Thanks for sharing with us. It's
Yeah.
always cool.
Anything else you want to share?
No.
We left out that you want to make known to the world?
I think everybody knows pretty much everything about me. But, yeah.
All right. He also teaches a marriage class on Sunday morning, so if you need to come and get some good marriage advice, you can go to Jeff's class on.
Yeah, it'll be advice. It may not be exactly what may not implement it in my own life, but
Well, if he gets it wrong, Tammy will straighten it out.
yeah.
Yeah. Shaw asked what was your least favorite thing about being elder, but that might have been a part that buffered out, I guess.
Yeah, I start to say, I
think we answered that, right?
Yeah, we did.
Well, you have to text Shaw, let him know,
I'll
I
text
guess.
it to him later.
Yeah.
Y'all talk about. All right. Cool. I don't have any other comments. I don't
Nope.
think. Let me look. This is really cool. On my Facebook, it tells me Jeff Butler is watching. That's kind of neat because he's sitting right there.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm watching and I'm live.
Yeah, cool. Hey, thanks for joining, and we'll be back next week at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
Join us Sunday. We'll be
and-
here for worship or Bible class at 9 and worship at 10.
yep, Sunday morning. So join us on the live stream then as well. And hey, thanks for tuning in, and tune in again.
Yeah, it was fun.
And sorry about the buffering issues. We'll try to get that figured out.
Yeah.
So
Y'all have a
good
one.
night.